Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia. Again, folks, I want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia. I am Ansony Sieh hosting, and it is our program, The Hour of Politics, with me as your host. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. I am excited to be here to talk about a topic that we all need to talk about because it is crucial. It is extremely crucial that we talk about this very topic. And so I am happy to welcome you. We, the Focus on Liberia family, dearly want to welcome you. Please, folks, as we always ask you here at Focus on Liberia, hit that share button for us so that others can be able to follow this broadcast. In today's edition of our program, The Hour of Politics, we are talking about the stimulus package, and our topic here is where are we on the promises contained in the COVID-19 stimulus package? Yes, you heard me. All right, where are we on the promises contained in the COVID-19 stimulus package? Folks, I want you to stay with me throughout the broadcast. Let us get to the seriousness of this very, very unique topic because you are aware, COVID-19 became a serious epidemic, serious to an extent that many governments around the world, including the government of Liberia, made a determination to lock down the country and that people needed not to be in uh, gatherings and they needed to stay home when the state of emergency was issued by the president and later ratified by the national legislature. They were clear in what they intended to do, not only to spread uh, the virus in a speedy manner, or if you like, to contain the virus, but they also went as far as making promises in the entire package that was sent to the national legislature. And so we want to look into the promises that were made in the stimulus package that was sent to the legislature by the president and ratified, intended to allow our people to see reason to stay home and not be able to do those things they would normally do for their survivability. And so many people listening to that felt that, oh, yes, it was reasonable for a state of emergency to have been declared, even though at the time the cases in Liberia were far less than 15. We needed to do that because we've seen Ebola, and so no one wanted a repeat of any disease for that matter, to go about taking away the lives of our people in thousands of, if not hundreds. And so yeah, people say yeah, it's a necessary decision to come up with a state of emergency to restrain movement a little bit so as to be able to minimize you know uh, the infection rate of coronavirus. And so our people were told that they were allowed to be in the street up to 3 p.m. and after 3 p.m. they should be home. Many people call it lockdown, other people call it curfew, as you are aware, because the government felt that there was a necessary decision to minimize the rate of the COVID-19. Security forces got so zealous in enforcing the state of emergency. We all heard stories. We all saw videos of citizens being beaten by the security forces, the police, and at some point, what they refer to in Liberia as pen boys were all enforcing the state of emergency. Boy Scouts were brought in the streets. They have ratans in their hand. I remember vividly a lady who according to the report, was in front of her house, and the police officer demanded that she needed to go inside, and because she was like, "Hey, I'm in front of my house," and they got into a fight, and that woman was able to lose blood. In that fight, the police officer assaulted her seriously, and she sustained wounds, and you could see blood pouring out of her mouth. This was a government, the security apparatus here, folks, was trying, to the best of their knowledge, as they were being instructed by the state to enforce the state of emergency. And because the government, in her wisdom, felt that, look, if you are telling these people to stay home for a time period when they should be hustling, you need to do something as an incentive so that these people will see reason to stay at home. And so, with no pressure on the government whatsoever, the government decided that, okay, we will make available $25 million, and the $25 million will be used so as to distribute rice to the citizens in the country. And that way, at least if they have food to eat, it will be understandable, they will be reasonable to stay home. And the government did not stop there. The government made another big promise. And the promise also was that electricity was going to be provided, free current was going to be given to the citizen. I would think, those in Monrovia, for the most part, I'm not sure if we have LEC providing electricity in other parts of Liberia. Maybe there is. I really don't know. I know about Monrovia for the most part. And so these residents in Monrovia or citizens there were going to get free current so that they will see reason to stay home after 3 p.m. and not be in the street doing the things that they usually do for their survivability. That was promise number two. Another promise the government did make was that because these marketeers, the petty business owners, were now being constrained or told to stay home, and that they only had from whether 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. to sell, it meant also that they won't be making much. And because there will be a drop in purchasing power, they will not be making profit anymore, because people are being encouraged to stay home for the most part. Their businesses will be terribly affected. So the government decided that look, we will be able to make $15 million available, and that $15 million will cover the loan the government said that these individuals have taken from banks. I don't know whether it is true, whether the government have records in their possessions that the petty business people obtained loan or got loan from the banks. I don't know whether they did a calculation as to how many person took loan from the bank, how they arrived at the total number of $50 million to be able to cover the loan payment up to the time coronavirus is going to be around. I don't know how the government arrived at that, but anybody would think that they needed to do so before they can come up with a number of that, magnitude. Because if you just call a number without knowing how many person took loan, what is the quantity, and you just call a number, then it is not being done properly. But hey, folks, those were the three key promises the government made to the Liberian people in order to incentivize the citizens to see reason to stay home, as was mandated by the government and also sanctioned or ratified by the national legislature. And at some point, we heard that the people of Liberia uh, who have started receiving this rice ration somewhere around May the 23rd. May the 23rd came and has since passed to this, the 2nd of June. We don't have information, credible information as to when they will start the rice distribution. Now, you ask your people to spend most of their time home because the virus, for some reason, uh, is active out there, maybe for the most part after 3 p.m. And so you saw reason to provide them rice so that they will have food at home. And then they will now say, yeah, we can stay home because at least we have some rice. So anyone who have thought that the government were going to speed things up so that the people will be able to get this rice as soon as possible so that they will be able to sit home. But then when the government started the effort of trying to see if they can get the rice to the people, they later realized that, hey, I think we may not be able to provide this rice to all the citizens, even though you lock the entire country down for the most part. But when they realize that this is not feasible, that is not possible, that we can provide rice to every citizen in every county, they said, Samuel 12 said that, and also the Minister of Commerce, Wisin Tape, who is in charge of this whole rice operation, also said that it's not possible and they will be able to supply rice to people who are in some targeted area. So I don't know how they came up with which area is a targeted area because you lock the whole country down. I understand there's a case in Grand Cru. How are you going to get the rice to Grand Cru? If there's a case in Grand Cru, you lock the whole country down. Now you say you're going to give rights to all of them. The legislature went and ratified the deal and saying that no, you're locking the whole country down. It's not reasonable to think that you will get some people rights and will not get others rights. So everybody must benefit. And it became law. So the government need to implement that. As we speak, your guess may be as good as mine, or yours may be better than mine as to when this rice distribution will start. And remember, this is $25 million, supposedly supposed to be coordinated with the World Food Program. There were reports that the government, submitted a plan to World Food Program, and when World Food Program went to verify the plan as to who does this and that, uh, World Food Program was able to identify that most of the individuals that were contracted or some complaints, World Food Program realized that those were complaints, those were institutions that were just being registered and that the government were trying to do business with. And so that was a huge red flag there. And that is one of the reasons why, as we speak, the right distribution thing is in limbo. Folks, the point I'm making here is that the government felt the need to give our people rights. Did they actually look at the possibility, the feasibility of carrying out this thing? This is a government we know that is struggling already to raise revenue. And then you say you're going to give rights to everybody? And not just that, you're going to provide free electricity. And not only that, that you will be able to cover loan taken supposedly by some petty traders in Liberia, and that you're going to make the payment until at such time when Corona is over and these people will come back and pay. It was just flashing. It sounded so brilliant. It sounded so perfect. And so people have put their faith in it because we had an emergency on hand, as we still do today. And so in an emergency situation, a government need to calculate well and look at its own ability, what it can possibly do. But to make a pronouncement to people that you have, some of them you have flogged, you have humiliated in the streets for not staying home and selling, and because you felt that you will be able to give them rights, so they shouldn't do their businesses, and now you can't give this rights, and now you can't provide the electricity. So let's talk about the issue of rights. If you can't give the rights to the people, for which you allotted $25 million, and it was ratified by the national legislature, let alone the current. How is it possible that you're going to uh, finance these loans that supposedly you got to know that these petty trailers are took from the banks? How are you going to do that? Again, folks, that is the story of Liberia. Our government has made promises to the citizen when they are in a lockdown, and they are yet to fulfill that promise. And that's why we brought you the topic: where are we on the promises contained in the COVID-19 stimulus package? You want to know where we are? We are nowhere. That's my understanding. I don't know about you. I have not heard about a definite date set for rice distribution. I have not heard. The first one we heard was May the 23rd. May the 23rd has since passed. I don't know whether they have come up with a new date. If you know, please share that with us here so that all of us, participating in the conversation can know. How sad it is that people already stranded economically, and then coronavirus has come, making matters worse. They needed to double up in their hustle, but you said no, you don't need to double up because this pandemic is deadly. So while we want you to do so as we as a country can be able to minimize the impact of this thing, stay home from 3 p.m. upward. Don't be in the street. To make that possible, we'll give you rice. We'll provide current. Those who took loans from the banks, we will be able to finance those loans until at such time when this thing is off our back, and then we can go back to the drawing board to see how we can go forward with that. We have no clear-cut indication when that rice issue will be settled or distribution will start. The current thing, I don't know too. I don't know about you. So I don't even want to talk about the loan thing. I do not want to talk about the loan thing because I don't see how it's going to be possible. Because the most urgent thing the people need right now, that's the rice. Because you have asked them to stay home, so you must provide this rice you promised them. The Liberian people did not come to their government and say, oh, say you asking us to stay down, to stay home, give us rice. They didn't ask. The government made this determination, make the decision after anybody would think, looking at their capacity, and but hey, we heard about contribution being made from other partners. So if other partners have made contribution to make this thing possible, why is it taking so long? We are in an emergency. When you are in an emergency, things need to be done speedily. That's why we call it emergency. But maybe we should leave it there and come to the role the legislature or play in this whole thing. So anybody would think that the legislature, the direct representatives of the people, will be there to represent their best interest in this whole deal. Maybe the only thing they did right was that, hey, we will ratify it. But if you are ratifying something, you needed to ask the necessary questions as to the possibility of what you are ratifying. Because when you do that, you want to make sure that this is something that's going to reach the people who desperately need it. But the legislature supposedly did not want to be seen as a group of people who were standing in the way of something that the citizen needed, when in fact they were in a lockdown, and many of them were being beaten for not staying home and all that. So the legislature did not want to be in that way. But the sad part about the whole thing is that the lawmakers, at some point, it was reported, Dara Diron brought that story up, that $6,500 was given to the senators as operational fund just about the time they rectified this particular deal. Why a coincidence, So we have emergency on our hand. There is a deal intended to give our people relief uh, during an emergency time. And that was the time the lawmakers, the senators in this case, needed to receive 6,500 as operational funds. So the question is, why, if they didn't have the tax to perform on behalf of the Liberian people, something that is their constitutional responsibility, but it was the time that was appropriate for the Senate to receive their operational funds. Dallas Dillon was able to report, disclosed that they received that money in operational funds. So that Dillon came under heavy scrutiny for that. What's his name? The political leader of Liberty Party, Senator Nyomli Kanga Lawrence. She wrote a long post on Facebook, the longest post I ever read, explaining, justifying. Some people will say, trying to tell the truth about what happened. She expressed how it was embarrassing, how it was timely, how it was insensitive on their part, when they had a role to play in ensuring that the people of Liberia receive what is supposedly an emergency relief that they needed. The fact that they were on a curfew or a lockdown, and that was the time they had to receive $6,500 before they could rectify that. She said the timing was wrong, it was insensitive. They should not have taken that money at the time, thereby making the whole body of government to look so bad. But hey, according to her, she gave 2,000 of her money and sent it to her county to be able to help with the coronavirus fight. What can $2,000 do for the people of Grand Bassa County? You said that were operational funds, money that was intended for the running of your office, or it was intended for the running of their offices. That was the intention. That was the intent of the money. And so why will you take that money and send it to your county for a purpose not intended? What is that? Is that how they do things in that place? And Senator DeLong himself, who came on the harshest criticism during that time period, also was able to disclose how he used the money. He used the money in communities to his constituents, building places for them and doing all that. Even though they said that was operational funds, and when they said operational funds, they were able to give specifics on what kind of operational for their offices, their staff, things that they need. I think Yomli Kaka said that, for her, she have to take money from vendors, to buy furniture for her office. And these vendors were, after her, she needed to pay them. And that was the purpose of the money. But it was the very money she took. Probably she forgot that she needed to pay the vendors. But she sent 2,000 of that money to Grand Bassa County. Senators, we have a health crisis on hand. Instead of focusing on a legislature that will be able to provide PPE and other needed equipment for nurses and doctors who are at the forefront of this fight, they took operational funds and she took $2,000. What a joke. Well, that is what we have on our hands, folks. Bear with me here. This is Focus on Liberia. This is our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Ansony, Sieh, your host. We will be opening the phone line very soon so that we can give you the opportunity to participate in the discussion. So let's look further into the DeLong factor on the entire legislature, and maybe we can say specifically the Senate. So at some point when the deal was ratified, the decision also was that there was going to be a recast budget. And in that recast budget, all these things that were ratified by the national legislature, was going to be what? Covered. Because there were priorities now. Priorities have changed as a result of the COVID-19. And so they needed to do a recast budget so that they would get their priority right. So that was the arrangement. So when the recast budgets were sent, the lawmakers needed to verify as to whether what they have voted for earlier, all those things were reflected in the recast budget, so that the people for whom the Liberian people, those packages were intended, would be able to get them and on time, and that those were reflective in that particular recast budget. So that was something they needed to look at very clearly. They needed to debate it. They needed to verify it line by line. And that was Senator Darius DeLong's argument. But surprisingly, we heard that when it came, those guys were prepared to sign under this disguise that we were under, or we are under an emergency, and they needed to act as fast as possible. I listened to a gentleman, a representative for that matter, Dixon Sibo. My understanding is that he's on the Ways, Means, and Finance, in the House of Representatives. He explained that there was no need for them to waste too much time because, according to him, throughout the recast process, when the executive was writing the recast budget, those of them in the House Committee on Ways, Means, and Finance were working along with the executive in writing the recast budget. And he said they were able to arrange the priorities line by line. So there was no need for them to go through the vigorous legislative exercise of debating the budget and all that, because again, it was an emergency, so they needed to pass it. So he said there was necessary nothing, that was needed to be debated, because according to him, the legislature, maybe in this case, the House of Representatives, was represented throughout the entire recasting process. That was his argument. But hey, that was a committee doing that. And you are a legislative body. And the reason you did that was to facilitate the process. So that should have been an open and easier debate. Open it. Tell us, say, hey, we have done everything that we will all will see in the budget, and here they are line by line, and open it to see whether your colleagues will see what you are talking about, and then be able to see reason to say, okay, this makes sense. Now we can vote on it. But that was not done. That was not done. And in no time, guess what we heard? 17,000 United States dollars were dished out to each member of the House of Representatives. And so that thing was passed overnight. And so the Senate needed to ratify it. When the Senate needed to ratify, that became DeLong's argument that we need to debate this particular budget because we have a proof that this recast budget been done for priority to be arranged appropriately, reflecting the emergency that we have on our hands. But many of the senators were not willing to do that. Apparently, what Dixon Sibo said on the House's side may have applied on the side of the Senate. But that should not negate the normal legislative process in debating the budget, ensuring that what they have envisioned or put into the budget were in the budget for the Liberian people. They didn't do that. DeLong, in his frustration, walked out of section and used some tough voice on his colleagues. He said the whole Senate is rotten. They are useless. They are smartless. I repeat, DeLong said the whole Senate is rotten, useless, and spineless. They don't have balls to stand up for what is right. That was what DeLong said. Folks, You are watching Focus on Liberia. This is our program, The Hour of Politics. I am your host, Ansony Sieh. Here at Focus on Liberia, we educate, we elevate, and we promote all things Liberia. This is where you find analytical discussion of the issues of politics. We talk on both sides. So the thing is that many now are pointing their fingers at the legislature. Rightfully so, and I 100% do agree. Why would the direct representatives of the people now be able to stand up for the people to check whether that which they had in the budget for the people were actually in there, and how to ensure the speedier implementation of such, so that the people can get the relief that they desperately need. They are in a lockdown, for Christ's sake. You need to get this emergency relief to them. That was your intention. Now, there's news that the Senate, I think 23 of them might have received some money. Apparently, Dillon did not get his share this time. You know, I don't know what they will call it this time. Will it be operational funds? I don't know. On the side of the House of Representatives, the $17,000 they got, they give a lot of justification. They said the government had owed them several arrears, ranging from gas slave to strike cards, pay, and all that. That was what they put together. So the thing is, why is it that when the government owe these lawmakers, the government will choose not to pay until when they have something to do for the country? Why? Why is it? Why it has to be like that? Some people are calling it bribery, and those people who are making that determination, they have reason. Because when you give these people this huge sum of money at the time they have a legislative function to perform for the Liberian people, it's like you're inducing them. It's been rumored that it's actually money given to them so as for them to be able to ratify or pass their thing in no time. Anybody will reasonably make that conclusion, because it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be when you have your work to do, then that's the time you receive money from the executive. And to the executive, why is it that these people have a role to play in this legislative governance of our country? Something they vowed, they took oath, they campaigned and promised to do. And the best way you think you can make it happen as as an executive branch of government is to induce them with money supposedly that was erroneously allotted for them. And what does that say with the very executive? What does it say about the very executive, and also about the very first branch of government? This is money, some of you are arguing, is legally, constitutionally due you. That's your money. You're working for it. But you will not get it until you have a work to do, and then they say, oh yeah, your money. So you see how these people has reduced themselves to nothing? Do you want to agree with Darius Dillon now that these people, they are useless, that they are spineless? It's like, folks, you here in the West, you working somewhere. At the end of the month, I know you just go to your account, right? Your money should be there. But your employer is telling you, in order to get your pay at the end of the 2 weeks, you need to do this. What kind of insanity is that? How will you feel? How are the lawmakers taking themselves? If the lawmakers cannot understand that whatever pay that they are entitled to because it was budgeted in the law, I mean in the budget, and the money is due them in any way, and that they should be able to get their money, and they will allow themselves to be played by the executive, that, oh, you have a piece of job to do for the country. We want you to do it. But how are we doing it? Okay, we'll give you this amount, your own money anyway. And then they act. Jesus Christ. So maybe DeLons is right that the House is rotten. It's useless. I mean, the Senate is useless. And they are all spineless. These legislators should be asking questions. They should be asking Western Tampa. They should be asking, the appropriate, heads of government agencies who are in charge with this whole implementation of this stimulus package. Have they ever asked for the records of the total number of persons that took loan from the government? Have they ever called the LEC to know how possible and feasible it is for them to provide free electricity? Was the time frame even determined as to how many months they will provide the free electricity? Was the time frame even determined as to how many months, how many times they will provide their rights to the Liberian people? Was it a just one-time thing? Did the government really check to see whether or not they will be able to provide rest to the citizen before making that decision? Folks, that's the question that you will be answering, that I am asking, and I will be opening the phone lines very, very soon for you to participate. Folks, this thing is not looking good. It is not looking good, and we need to understand that it is not looking good. So the other question I want to ask you is, where did the legislature get it wrong? Where did the executive get it wrong? Where did both get it right? Did they all get it right at all? Was it a right decision that Liberians needed a stimulus package from a government that is struggling to raise revenue? Really? Someone told me that maybe it would have been better for the government to not have even announced a stimulus package for the citizens. All right? So, folks, let's do this. Let me get the phone line set. I'm taking a little commercial break, and when I come back, I will open the phone lines for you to call. All right? So I will be right back. Stay tuned. All right, folks, I'm right back with you here at Focus on Liberia. This is the Hour of Politics with me, Ansony Sieh. Thank you for staying with us here at this broadcast. As you can see, I have the phone line right on the screen. Again, the phone line is right there on the screen. You want to call 605-313-6004. And the code to enter is 791-403#. All right. So call that phone number and I will take that call from you. Call that phone number and I will take that call from you here. Focus on Liberia so that you can make your contribution. Folks, I'm right here and I'm waiting for you. Place your phone call so that you can make your contribution. If you agree that it was the right decision for the government to have made the decision to give the people a stimulus package, then you need to tell me whether or not the government was able to really check, look in itself to see whether that possibility was high, and then the implementation, did they really take that into consideration as well? And then you need to also tell me, did the lawmakers do the right thing? All right. So the phone lines are open. I want to see you placing your phone calls. Again, the number is 605-313-6004. The code to enter is 791-403. My name is Ansony Sieh. This is Focus on Liberia, and the program you are watching is the Hour of Politics. So, folks, that is why we have on our hands. Promises made to the Liberian people in the time of emergency when Liberians were told that you will get rice, you will get free current. Those who took loans, those loans will be covered by the government. You are yet to get a single grain of rice, even though an initial date was set by the government, which is May the 23rd, but the government did not follow through on that. So wherever they should have gotten this 25 million naira from, we saw it in the budget, the recast budget that have been ratified. We heard about contribution being made from the donor community to this process. So why is this taking too long? Is this happening because, like I told you earlier, the government is trying to bring in people to implement this, and these people seems to be very fraudulent? We got report that some of the people or some of the companies that the government identify as implementing partners, uh, those complaints were like created overnight, and some of these complaints were linked to some individuals who are, top officials in the government. Is this what causing a delay, or is just the mere fact that they have not been able to raise the money, or is just the mere fact that they have realized that, hey, maybe it's not possible for us to do this, so let us now start it, because if we do, some people will not get, and then we'll have a serious problem on our hands. So the question is, who are the people that are advising our leaders anyway? Who are advised our leaders that, hey, it is possible that you can give every citizen some rights during this COVID-19 period? Did the person say how possibly this could be done? How easily can you get to Grand Cruz, to Greenville, Sano County? How you can get to Maryland County easily, and all the other counties that are so far from Monserrato? I'm asking you. Folks, this is serious. The phone lines are open. You can call, and you will be allowed to be heard. We are talking about our country. The government made big promises to our people in a time of emergency. They want our people to stay home. We understand the state of emergency has been a little bit relaxed or modified. Instead of them leaving the streets at 3 p.m. now, something for which many of them got serious whipping. Now they push it to 6 p.m. So I don't know, somebody may say that's a good thing there. Yeah, maybe that's a good thing because the people need to hustle, because the rise is not coming. The rise is not coming, and we don't know when this rise is going to come. Even when the distribution starts, before people in my home country or Grand Crew get rice, I know if they were dependent on that rice for their survival, I don't think they're going to survive COVID-19. Maybe so. It will not be COVID-19 actually. Hunger will be the one that will devour them before they get the very rice. So that's the question I keep asking. How they came up with the idea that they will be able to give people rice. Rice, 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 rice. Liberians, what is it about this rice thing? You know, that we continue to do. But why the government is trying, why the government of President Weah is trying uh, to implement its own stimulus package. I saw the other day the party under the leadership of Mamba Modu, they have a program called We Are Here. Everything is about We Are. We Are Here. We Are Project. Corona has come is We Are Project. Everything about We Are. So the We Are Here is dividing rice all around. I saw a pickup truck with Grand Jita on it. Small little pickup truck. Small little pickup truck with few bag of rice in it. And they say they're going to Grand Jita. I wonder whether that's the rice for the people of Grand Jita, or they have, a number of trucks lined up and filled with rice, and he just having to have a pickup loader and available, and so he took the picture and put it on Facebook. You see how these people can be serious? Party chairman taking pictures of pickup truck with few backers right in it and putting it on Facebook and say we are here. Are we serious here, folks? Can you believe we're still talking about rice? Are we serious here? We are here dividing rice in pickup truck, CDC emblem on it. They're going from Grand Bassa County to this other county. How many people can you reach? Well, maybe somebody is saying that's help. No matter how little it is, it's a help. All right, let me see if I can read some comments here. It seems to be those of you who are following the broadcast here. Don't want to place phone call. Let me see here. I have this viewer who writes, that is Kingo. The whole entire Liberian Senate as a ballot is dumb, spineless. The guy is using some tough words here. Rotting. Oh, there are some tough words here that we can read here. So let's see here again. The Saint Kingos, I hope I'm pronouncing your name very well. Bunch of natives and country people, children stealing from her own citizens. Maybe he has a point there. We have Boyu Smith, our educated people in are becoming more stupid than the uneducated from their behavior. Citizens are rightfully frustrated and they are using tough words on their leaders because the leaders never seem to get this. They never seem to get this. And I'm sitting here wondering, when are they ever going to get it? No one forced you. No one had a knife to your throat that you needed to make this promise anyway to your citizens that you will give them rights and free electricity. Those of you who are viewing me in Morovia, let me know if you have gotten some free coverage so far. I need to know because it still beats my imagination that our government will make pronouncement during an emergency time and is not able to follow through on that. Has any of you received rice in Morovia? I don't want to talk about ground crew. They should go on the farm because I don't see the rice coming soon. To my family over there, maybe you should get that breadfruit. Maybe you should go on that cassava farm because that rice is not coming soon. Why you felt the need to have made the promise? And the indications are not there. Not anytime soon are these people going to get this rice. No. Folks, Liberia, rice. All the time rice. Let me look at my comments here. That the 21,000 spoon TV gave them to buy 15,000 bag of rice. All right. Somebody is making a comment there. I did not follow this story, but person is saying Spoon TV gave 15,000 bag of rice. That the 21,000 Spoon TV. Okay, 21,000. It's a US dollar, my friend. Makoya Son. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm terrible with names. Is writing here that the 21,000 Spoon TV gave them to buy 15,000 bag of rice. All right. Thank you for that contribution there. Let's hear from Comfort Henry. Comfort writes, we as government official will be the richest in Liberia, like the TWP. I believe that's the True We Party. Bashu writes, Honorable Gray was on social media saying that Liberian people about to laugh. Georgia had done it again, first time in history. Yeah, I'm not sure if the Liberian people will laugh. I am not sure. It's been 2 years now since this government took place. All I see is one protest after the other. And I'm not sure the Liberian people are going to laugh. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm terribly wrong. Maybe Gray is right that the Liberian people are going to be laughing. Yeah, anybody can laugh, but what are you laughing about? Are they laughing at the government for not being able to fulfill a promise made to its people during an emergency? Yeah, somebody can laugh about it. Like I am laughing about it now because it beats my imagination. That you made your own calculation. You look at the problem. You look at your own limitation in terms of revenue generation. Maybe you may have heard from your partners and you made a determination that you will be able to get $25 million that you will use to buy rice and give to citizens because you are asking them to stay home. And up to this time now, we are yet to hear about one citizen in that country receiving 1 grain of rice, except for the one Mamba Munu is talking about, under the auspices of We Are Here. That was not the promise you made to the people. CDC as a party, CDC as the head of government, I don't see any difference. It is logical to conclude that the government is in contact with the party officials because anything the government feels on will have a reflection on the party. And so the party, I will assume, was in agreement with their decision and that they have looked at the possibility of implementing this thing. And so maybe Mamba Mondu should see how government can fulfill its promise. That is his government. Instead of putting picture on Facebook about We Are Here rice distribution, where is the head of government? What wrongs with that other distribution? Why it can't be possible? Why is it that everything about President We Are tend to go so speedier? His personal initiative as compared to that of the government. The We Are Here rice distribution is ongoing. But the We Are policy decision about a stimulus package for the citizens of Liberia, approved or ratified by the legislature, is yet to start. No one knows when. But the We Are Here rice distribution is on course. Folks, you see what I'm talking about here? Do you see that? The We Are project on coronavirus keep up long time. We saw the buckets. We saw the sambo all around Morovia. And guess what? We listening to that song. That beautiful song now that has been selected by UNESCO, I understand, and will be used internationally in the fight against coronavirus. We saw that. The We Are project. You know, the Brazil is sunshine, so the man is shining. He is shining on his personal projects. Yes. The coronavirus song is the We Are project. And that song has been selected by UNICEF and will be used internationally for the fight against coronavirus, mainly in the area of sensitization. To sensitize people that there's a pandemic that is here, is a killer. We are. His project has gained international recognition, and that is a good material to be used. Folks, you see that? That is the president's personal project. The point I'm making is, what about the government project? What about the government project? This is a government project that is struggling to give a grain of rice to a citizen, even though it was promised and a date was set as May the 23rd. But the We Are projects came and passed. The We Are projects came and passed. And now it's on course. Somebody may argue that it's a success. But can we say that about the government project? The government that the president heads ahead of states, can we say that project is a success when the implementation of it is yet to start, even though there was a day set? Can we say it's a success? Just as we can say the WIA project is a success. We've seen the buckets distributed to the people, and we see the president picture on it. We've seen the rice distribution in 4 gear. We see rice being loaded on pickup trucks and the counter name placed on the Grand Jita, Grand Bassa counter. Can we say that, folks, about the government's project intended for the people who were told to stay home so that they will not contract the coronavirus? Can we say that? Give me a moment, folks. Sorry about that, folks. There was alarm that was making some noise in the background. I needed to take care of that. So as I was saying, can we be tempted in any way to say that the government project or the government stimulus package that it promised the people, ratified by their representatives and senators, can we say it is a success? Can we? I guess no, we can't say that because we just don't know when they will start the very rice distribution. We just can't say it. We can't just say the current thing is a success. We just can't say it. We just can't also say that the government will finance loans of petty business people. We are yet to see the list of business individuals who took loans. We are yet to get a report as to how many persons took loans, the name of the businesses, the total amount they took from those banks. We are yet to see that so that we can calculate and take our calculators so we'll know that the government is telling the truth, that Liberians who are in business have taken loans from the bank and that amounts to $15 million. And that is the reason the government has made a determination that it will allot $15 million to finance those loans. Is that anything difficult to ask? Is that anything difficult to ask? Can we say that the RISE project is a success? Folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. This is our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Ansony Sieh, as your host. And our topic here today is, where are we on the promises contained in the stimulus package, the COVID-19 stimulus package? Where are we? We are nowhere. I am tempted to say the whole stimulus package is a fiasco. I am tempted to say that. Yes. Why shouldn't I be tempted? Because my memory remains fresh yet. I heard about a coastal highway that people celebrated. I don't know where we are. I heard about Ibomaf and Eton. I don't know where we are. I heard about thousands of light posts that were to be lined up from RIA all the way to Douala, to St. Paul Bridge. I heard people celebrating. I saw people dancing. Folks, I don't know where we are. I heard about Bali Island. I just don't know where we are. Folks, I heard about 6,000 teachers from Nigeria. I just don't know where we are. Do you know where we are? I just don't know. So the point I'm making here is that it is not right that we have an emergency on our hands. The government told our people to stay home from 3 p.m. in the day to nighttime. And because the government knew they would not be completing their daily hustle, decided that we'll give some rest. That way, if you don't complete your day hustle, at least when you get maybe $100, you can buy mama and maybe get red oil, since we will give you rice. So I saw and sensed urgency at the time on the part of the government that they would have swiftly distributed rice to the people. So if anybody was relying on the rice and have decided to stay home instead of coronavirus being the one to devour that person, it would be hunger. It would be yakba. So, folks, when I say I am tempted to say this stimulus package seems or smells like a fiasco, do not blame me. Because I have heard similar pronouncement. I also heard about a weed factory. You know, weed, the one our sisters can use to beautify themselves, for their elegance to be expressed in a more dignifying way. We heard that our first lady was bringing the weed factory to Liberia to create job opportunities so that we would be less expensive. Folks, where are we? Well, maybe they're working on it, but I'm just saying, where are we? This is why I am tempted. This is why I am tempted to say this stimulus package smells like a fiasco. A package to distribute rest, a package to provide free country, a package to finance $50 million loan, supposedly taken by Liberians who are in business. I'm tempted to say this smells like a fiasco. Let me read some comments here quickly. Let's make it conversational and also participatory. Let's do that. Alizana Simios, right? Everything in this country is weird. The government is unable to live up to her promises. This is what happens when boys take the mantle of authority. The boy is being tough there, saying the president is a boy. Liberian people are frustrated and understandably so. Let me see if I can read another one. They want from the man J.C. Foss Acolytes. Sorry. J.C. for writes, can we just refer to our fellow Liberians as young Liberians? So, folks, this is why I am terribly tempted. Maybe you understand my temptation that our government, the stimulus package thing smells, seems, looks like a fiasco. Because there are many things we heard about that are yet to come true, that are yet to be implemented, that are yet to come to fruition. And so when I see something like this, when we were given the impression that they think we have been done speedily because the people were told to stay home anyway, and the only way they could stay home was to provide them this free quarry and the free rice and finance these loans, my expectation, my conclusion, my assumptions were this is a 2 months at most kind of operation. Did they even think about their capacity to deliver this thing? Did they even think about their capacity to do so? This is a government headed by George Weah that make the big promise, big mouth. We also heard about this big promise about building stadiums in the 15 counties. Where are we on that, folks? So you see my temptation. I have heard a lot. I have heard a lot. And, sometimes if I try to be realistic a little bit, I'm like, okay, I continue to hear the government is having a hard time raising money, having a hard time raising money. This is why these things have not been able to be implemented. And so a government that is having hard time to its full knowledge, they're wearing their shoe. They feel it. They know how it is pinching. I'm not there. I don't know. I'm on the outside, but I'm looking there with critical eye. I would think that they should have known much, much better. They should have had a deeper and better understanding that is not possible. The government has sometimes struggled to make salary regular, and now maybe I heard they're trying their best and is an achievement, but this is a government that was struggling to do so. Have you forgotten about the numerous protests by nurses at JFK, Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation, protests for salaries? They were in an area about sometime around, 5 months or so. We heard about the National Housing Authority that the government had owed about a year. Yes, a year. And many of them were not even on payroll. This is a government that was struggling to do so. And so this government should have known that, look, we want to do this. This sounds right, but we don't have the capacity. We can't raise that money. Even if we have the money, we can't do so. I live in the state of Minnesota. I don't know about my state that has a surplus budget giving stimulus package to us as residents of the state. No, they're not doing that. The only stimulus package we got came from the federal government. Minnesota, my state, has a surplus budget. The last time I checked, it was above $1 billion. Surplus budget. So this state, from all indication, is well positioned financially to give a stimulus package to its residents, but the state did not do so. I guess they have taken a lot of things into consideration. The only thing I know the state is doing that every other state does is people who have lost their job as a result of this, they're giving them unemployment benefit. It is speedier too. They're doing it because they know they have the capacity to do so. You don't want to start something you know you can't do. That would be like adding insults to injury. You don't want to do that. Let me see if I have a few more comments here. Folks, you are watching Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Ansony Sieh, your host. Here, I focus on Liberia. We educate, we elevate, and we promote all things Liberia. And on this program, The Hour of Politics, we discuss politics analytically. We leave out the too much names calling. But hey, why not call names sometimes? These are public officials. No one forced them to take these jobs. No. No one forced these people to take these jobs that they have. They take them on the promises that they will be able to deliver. And so when you are not delivering, it is in anybody's right to call your name. The only thing we can all share focus on Liberia, you should do it responsibly. And leave out the vulgarity. There's a way you can hold people accountable in a thoughtful, responsible way. And let me say this to us Liberians. I am a firm believer in the idea of holding people accountable. But my observation has been in Liberia, if you are not yelling over your head, insulting people, some people think you're not serious and you don't have a sense of urgency and that you are not a poor. I'm fortunate to be here. I watch the TV. I see how people hold government accountable. I see how Trump is being held accountable in every respect. I don't see as much vulgarity on the TV as much as I see in our community on social media. And the reason I'm making the point is I'm going to be an individual, you are an individual, another person is another individual. Collectively, we represent our country. The thing that comes out of our mouth, the things that come out of our mouths is a reflection of who we are. And if we are talking about somebody not being a best representative because maybe they don't have integrity, because they are corrupt, as many of them are, they don't have integrity, as I said earlier, as many of them don't have, then you who are having this integrity, who having this sense of human decency, it should be reflected in your words. We can protest. We can do that. We don't have to insult. Folks, I have a caller on the line here. I have a caller on the line here. Let me get to this caller quickly. The caller wants to make a contribution. Caller, your name and where you joining me from. I will assume joining me from Minnesota.
Yes, this is Mike Padmore calling from Minnesota.
Welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is an hour of politics. Talk politics, my friend.
Well, I've noticed you've talked a lot about the supposedly stimulus package that this government promised its people. This is just another example of the people that the president has surrounded himself with that have no idea what they're doing. For them to be able to come up with such a proposition as to divide rights in Liberia, even in Monserrado, and the logistics that takes, and the time that takes, even with backups like WFP, his advisors should have told him from the get-go that would be impossible to do. But we've seen this so many times before where the president, whether is being ill-advised or is just choosing to go with the wrong advice, just continues to just make the wrong turns at every single corner that he comes across. It is good that the Liberian people are saying this. Many people spoke about this before George Weah became president, that the office was too challenging for him. But there were so many that felt that, well, he had the country at heart and that would be sufficient. I'm hoping those people are seeing today that just because you might or you supposedly have the country at heart, that in no way translates to good governance. You also talk a little bit about the Senate. It is an open secret that many of our legislators are corrupt. It's not anything new. It is something that has passed on from one administration to another. And for Darius Dillon, Honorable Dillon, to be able to come out and say it, and then these people are threatening him to kick them out, and the Liberian people are not outraged, it's a sad thing. The Liberian people need to be outraged. They need to speak up. They need to let these crooks know that they will not sit there and allow their country to continue to be taken over and their resources to be stolen by such people as them. So those are the two things I really picked up on there, and I wanted to speak to, unless you had a question or something for me.
Yeah, I have a question. The senators or the lawmakers as a whole that you talk about, uh, the issue of corruption and did not being there for our people has been there. My question is, do you want to believe that the lawmakers are more of the problem or less, and the Liberian people or the Liberian people are more of the problem or less? Because sometimes I say I struggle with that. Is it the Liberian people or the lawmakers or the leaders? I mean, talk to me. Where,
I,
where,
I
where are
believe,
you on that?
yeah, sure, definitely. Um, the Liberian people do have a role to play,
Mhm,
okay?
mhm,
But I will always choose the lawmakers, the leaders of the day, as the most corrupt. They are the largest problem, and the reason why is two. One is they are the ones charged with the responsibility of doing what needs to get done. The second thing is that they have done a very good job at keeping the population of Liberia illiterate. A lot of people do not understand this. Liberia has a very high illiteracy rate.
mhm.
Liberia has a very poor educational system. When you put those two things together, what you have is Liberia. You have people voting for people not based on informed information or informed vote. People vote on sentiment, they vote on emotion, they vote on misinformation, and most of those things, if you look at the history, if you look at the the genesis of it, you will see it heavily weighs on the illiteracy and ignorance of the population.
Mhm.
And so the it is not in the it's not advantageous to these lawmakers to educate the population. It is actually at the advantage for them to keep the population illiterate,
Mhm.
keep the population ignorant, keep the population poor and desolate. Because
S-
when people are poor and desolate,
Right.
when you throw peanuts at them,
Mhm.
they see it as a lot.
So your
You
conclusion,
understand?
yes,
And
is
that's
I have other colors on the line. Your conclusion here is that
yes,
the lawmakers, and maybe not only the lawmakers, but people who are in charge of the affairs of the country are more of the problem as compared to the people, even though you agree the people shared part of the problem.
yes, yeah, yes. And let me before I leave, I know you got callers. Before I leave, let me
Right,
speak
right.
on the people real quick here.
Mhm.
Okay, let me clarify that.
Okay.
Yes, the lawmakers, our leaders, are the biggest problem. Here is the problem with people. Even if your government is suppressing you, even if you are, your educational system is bad,
Right.
okay? Yet, as a people, if you are hungry, if you are suffering, you have to stand up. Stop accepting the peanuts. Stop accepting the mediocrity. Stand up. Stand up for yourself. That is the only way you will move forward. You have to stand up for yourself. And if you don't do that, people will continue to ride on you. That is the position of the people that they need to take. That is their responsibility. Stand up for yourself and demand your rightful place in society and stop accepting. effort. Just stop accepting mediocrity. People say, well, Joey, some people say Joey stole. The other people will say, well, at least he's using the money in Liberia.
I know, right?
It's nauseating. And that's where I'm coming from. Thank you so much for allowing me to contribute on your platform.
Thank you for calling in. All right, let me take this other one here. Caller with phone number ending in 1801. Your name and where you joining us from?
Yeah, my name is Darling Wawu. I'm calling from Springfield, Massachusetts.
Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Strictly to the issue. This is the hour of politics. Talk.
Yep. I just want to answer to the question you asked regarding the problem in Liberia. Right. What are the contributing factors? Is it the Liberian people? Is it the House on Capitol Hill, or the judiciary, or the executive? I would say everybody is playing a part.
Okay.
But most importantly, the Liberian people, the ordinary Liberian people who go to the poll to vote, are playing a huge part. I say this because, like, even the issue with the war crime code, the reason why we do not have war crime code in Liberia today, it is because of the very ordinary Liberian people, because of opposing views. Some people are saying the war was necessary. Other people were being suppressed by other ethnic groups, and so their savior came to save them in black and white. And the other people are saying, no, we were murdered in cold blood. Our family were murdered in cold blood. We are victims. We want a war crime code. So it is because of so much division among the Liberian people. That's why we do not have the war crime code, and we will not have that war crime code until Christ the King comes.
On your example you just gave, if I may interject here before you continue.
Yep.
You said because the citizens are divided on the issue. So what's about a leader, for example, in the case of our president, his political party? I'm sure you might have read or heard, and this is a fact because I know it. The president made it clear that he, for the war crime code, sometime back he said it, and that he would like to see the implementation of the war crime code. He's in power. Why should he change his mind on something he made a determination was the right thing to do? Now that he asked for power, the people gave him power, he should be able to do it because the people elected him knowing then that this was what he said he was going to do. So he should do it, right? Why is it so the people not the problem here? Don't you think so?
The people are the problem. Everything boils down to the people. You see, the president made those promises when he was campaigning from 2005 up to 2017.
Right.
He said those things out of ignorance. That I'm going to, when I'm president, when I become president, I will establish the war crime code. He said those things out of ignorance. A president does not have the authority to work on one money and say we want war crime code. That document is a piece of document that has to be passed into law by the guys on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, but so the president can sponsor that process, right? Just as the president will sponsor his legislation or will send a bill to the House and make sure that it goes through, just as he's done with the stimulus package, just as he's done with the loan that they needed from Iboma and Eton, for the coastal highway. He's been able to do it. So why he can't do it for the war crime code?
The issue with Iboma, the issue with what made war crime code difficult is in our very capital, in the very Senate, there are people who are senators so you expect President Johnson to affix the signature so that war crime code can come to Liberia. You really think that's going to happen?
But we go by majority, though. We go by majority. If the president can.
So the war crime it's not going to also happen because the president is surrounded by the very people who the war crime code will come for. So the president will not push it. You got Imaya Shaw, who is some kind of advisor to the president. The president is saying is so corrupt right now. He's swimming in a pool of corruption.
How you know that?
You got people.
Give me an example of the president swimming in a pool of corruption.
Look at the mansion the president built on 9th Street. Before he became president, he had some run-down house there that I never been there for 20 years.
Okay.
The place where he built for the 9 units up to the Baptist Seminary, that place was a soccer field, grown with deer and animals are living in that place. The moment he became president, we saw like everything going up from grass to grace. So you can't tell me that it's a miracle.
All right.
You kept, so is that a coincidence that before he became president, the place were run down neighborhood? By the time he became president, they start turning to palaces. Is that a coincidence?
All right.
So
Maybe
my
you have
brother,
a point
the
there, my
issue of
brother.
war crime is complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a point there. Thank you for
So
your contribution.
John, we are the issue of war crime. Forget it. So let's go to corruption. The aspect of corruption and what is happening in Liberia, the Liberian people are contributing to it. The guys on Capitol Hill are contributing, and the executive is contributing. But brother, Liberia, the fabric of Liberia has been eaten by corruption. Everyone in Liberia today is corrupt. Why do you think every young person at the University of Liberia, or the other university, all they talk about is politics?
Politics.
People on Carey Street and other streets in Monrovia, they got political centers, and all they say that is politics. They don't have jobs. They are not going to make farms. They're not doing anything, absolutely nothing. All they want to do is to get into government and steal.
You know,
And what
sometimes
do you really think is going to change? It's not going to change.
my brother, sometimes I wish the way we have all the attire centers, and those are political attire centers around Monrovia, we would have had libraries like that for people to go and read.
My brother, even you place library to the places, they will not read. They will turn up those libraries to political centers. The reason is their mindset. It's a mindset. Corruption in Liberia today has become a way of life. Okay? So, like, even while we are talking about 2023 removing Jawware and bringing another group of people, so look at Benedict. Is Benedict the savior that are coming to save in 2023? Joseph Boaga came from Ellen Young government at the rule for 12 years and looted that place. So he's the one. So is that the new one, the old one? You're going to put in new battle to kind and change the people's lives?
All right.
Are you freaking kidding me? Alexander Kumi was working for Kukula Family for how many over 20 years. He never do that a bag or rain like the moment he say he want to become president, he start going from country to country giving the people a few dollars. You know what he's doing? Alexander Kumi is a businessman. We call that business investment. When he become president, so that he can get return on his investment. Those are a bunch of criminals. Bro, the problem with Liberia is so complex. It's so complex that it has. I don't know. There's a snake in the bush. When you touch the hair, it start using the tail to walk. When you touch the tail, it start using the hair to go. That's how Liberia looking. Liberia problem is so complex that you don't even want to be thinking about it because you will not arrive at anything positive.
So finally,
there is
my
no
brother.
conclusion to the Liberia story.
So finally, my brother, you are saying that Mr. Alexander Comey is making an investment here by helping out and giving rise, around counties, and he's expecting his political dividend.
Why Alexander Comey did not give out rights for the last 20 years he was working with Coconut Party when you were in private sector? Why didn't he give out bag of rice or cement to people? Only when he decided to run for president. What Alexander Comey is doing, we call it investment in business. He's investing.
My brother.
And when you invest, every investment that is for profit, when you make investment, you expect to make profit. But if you lose, fine. So if he does not become president, that will be you will lose. But if you become president, you will get dividend, you will get return on investment.
My friend, the last time I checked my Bible, in the book of Ecclesiastes, somewhere I read, there's time for everything. Maybe this is the time for Alexander Comey to give. I don't think everybody gave at the same time.
This is the time for Alexander Comey to get a return on your investment. He give since 2017.
And maybe that is also true. I agree
with you. Is that what you're saying?
All right, my brother. Thank you.
My brother.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, folks, I'm back with you here. That was Color there. I try to be a little more interactive with him. Let me read a few comments and then I will close this broadcast. Moses Yimpa writes, why not speak about those ones that have been done or completed already, Mr. Sieh? You have a point there. Our understanding is that, the CDC, the government has been making a lot of news that they have done a lot of things, that are things they started, they have completed. So Yimpa wants me to already mention some of those things. Yeah, Yimpa, I talk about the WIAS project, how successful it is. We saw the broadcast with the president picture on it. It was implemented swiftly. I know about Monrovia, maybe other counties benefited. I told you also about the We Are Care Rice Distribution Project under the auspices of his party, spearheaded by Mumba Modu Rice and Pickup Straw, going to Grand Bassa County and going to Grand Jira County. I would think they're doing that in Monrovia as well. I talk about that. I talk about the coronavirus son that the president was able to produce, and that song now has been picked up by UNICEF, and that it will be used to provide sensitization on the coronavirus pandemic in the world. You know, the president is sunshine, he shine right there. I think I talk about it. So I am not the mouthpiece of government. My role mainly is to bring out the issues, analyze them, and what I'm talking about mainly today is the promises made to the Liberian people as contained in the COVID-19 stimulus package. And I was just doing an analysis, and I was just telling you my conclusion is that I fear, I'm tempted to say this stimulus package will be a fiasco, and the reason I came to that conclusion is based on other things in the past. All right, so I was not talking about government projects uh, that have been implemented and failed. I'm talking about the stimulus package, the promises made therein, and my conclusion as a citizen, discussing the topic, to share my own thoughts with you, my viewers. I'm saying my conclusion is that I'm tempted to say that this project might be a failure. And on what basis I'm making that conclusion? Because I look at other projects in the past that have also failed. And looking the way this thing is trending, I only have this fear that this might be a fiasco. And it is government responsibility to come on my platform. We have invited them several times if you've been following us, and they've been able to make their case that they've done this, they've done that, and that is their job. That is not my job. I bring a topic and discuss the topic and bring on issues that will be able to further put meat around what I'm talking. And so, my brother, if you think I am doing a disservice there, I respect your opinion. Let me see if I can read a few more comments here, and then I will call it a day. This is Focus on Liberia, and you are watching the Hour of Politics with me, Ansony Sieh. Let me read this one for Henrietta Conemonga. You may condemn everyone and can come up with an angel. I see my sister Jessica Little J is watching here. She is a partner here at Focus on Liberia. She is the host of our sex and relationship conversation show here. Little J, we are Focus on Liberia. We love you, and for your contribution. Let's read here from Alex Nimler. Alex Nimler is watching from. Oh, he's watching from South Dakota. Let's see, Michael Patmo writes, Alexander Cumming is dividing rights because that is how the Liberian people vote. He's making a point that Liberian people have never stopped voting for people on the basis of those people dividing rights to them. They ask, what have you done? He's like defending Cummings here, or maybe he's just making a fair point that the Liberian people continue to ask Cummings, what has Cummings done? If he does not divide rights, then he doesn't care. If he divide rights, then he is a businessman. And, so that's the point he's making. So he's saying that he's playing to the tune, the language of the Liberian people. Once you don't give them anything for them to chop, then they don't see you. Then you don't care. Then you don't have them at heart. That is the point. That is Michael who is making that point. That is not my point. On that note, folks, in cyberspace, I will be drawing down the curtains here. The program you have been watching is the Hour of Politics. Here, I focus on Liberia. Uh, we have hit our time. This program was produced by Focus on Liberia, and it was intended to go on for an hour and 30 minutes. And we have hit that 1 hour 30-minute mark. And so we will be drawing down our curtains. I will conclude here to say the topic we discussed today is, where are we on the promises contained in the COVID-19 stimulus package? A pandemic came ravishing the entire globe. People scared to death. People trying to find all they can do to minimize the infection rate of this particular pandemic. Governments around the world have come up with multiple solutions. Many of them, like the United States, where I know about, gave stimulus package for its citizens or residents in America. For the most part, 1,200 per person, depending on whether you marry or not. And some people, how many children you have, were getting 1,700. I heard about a government in Sierra Leone. The Sierra Leone government decided that it was going to give only to its vulnerable people, the vulnerable people in Freetown, talking about the blind, the elderly, the deaf and dumb and disabled people. And the government of Sierra Leone decided to give them rice and also decided to give them 250,000 leone per person in Sierra Leone. That's what I heard about. We have a correspondent there in Sierra Leone. The last time I checked with him, he said that was on course. We heard about Ghana. Ghana decided that it will prioritize its healthcare workers, those nurses and doctors who are fighting in the front line. They decided the government of Ghana gave them a raise in their salaries, and the government decided that they were not going to pay taxes on those salaries, I believe, for 3 months. And sometime I heard they were going to provide electricity. I think government Ghana has the capacity and many other things. Now we don't pay. I don't pay attention to Ghana news that much to have follow up to see whether the promises made there, the government there is fulfilling those promises. But I know that they have started that. I know about Liberia. Liberia has made a big promise to its citizens in a stimulus package that was sent to the legislature by the president and was ratified by the legislature. And to this day, being almost 2 months now, the rice distribution, which anybody would think would have been the most essential need that the people needed at the time, is yet to resume after 2 months. But in Sierra Leone, the vulnerable people that were identified got their rice, got their $250,000 lien. You know the Sierra Leone money. They got their money. That's why I was made to believe by our correspondent that the process started. But in Liberia, our process is even yet to start. The process of the stimulus package that was announced by the Ghanaian government, I understand too, that has started, or those have started. The packages that they released, those things have started. They increased the salaries of healthcare workers. They were not cutting taxes on their salary for 3 months. The electricity, I understand, has also have started for Ghanaians. I understand in Liberia, I think they said they were going to provide water. I don't pay attention to that water issue that much. But I think I heard similar things. So these things in other countries have started at least. But in our country, it's yet to start. And it was on that basis I came to the conclusion that the whole stimulus promise thing that was made to the Liberian people has come to be something that smells like a failure. And the reason I came to that conclusion or that temptation of making this announcement or the pronouncement that I think this smells like a fiasco is because I look at all the things in the past. So my argument is that if other things have failed in the past, there's a possibility this might fail. That is not a foregone conclusion. It's not because the student failed last year, they're going to fail today. No, it's not possible. But it is also possible that the student can fail 2 times. In this case, with the way things are going, the first period has passed, which is the first month, and then the second period is here, the second month, and you are still scoring 50, maybe 0. This is what I'm saying. I smell failure. I smell fiasco. On that note, folks, in cyberspace, I want to say thank you. Thank you so very much. Those of you who made comments. Sorry, I could not read all the comments. Those who call, we appreciate you calling in here and focus on Liberia. This is how we'll come to the end of this broadcast, and we will bring you our closing song that tells you that we are all Liberians, and we are all Liberians, and I want you to know that. On that note, thank you. My name is Ansony Sieh, and I have been your host here at the Hour of Politics on Focus on Liberia. The coronavirus is still real. I know people are raising concerns and doubts, but I will only tell you the right thing to do is to believe that it's here and protect yourself, because the least mistake you make that it is not here and you are caught, it will be bad. So we here are focused on Liberia. Want to say to you, agree that it's here, protect yourself and protect your family. We love you, and it is because of you we do what we do here. So please protect yourself so that we can continue to do what we do by educating, elevating, and promoting all things Liberia. On that note, I'm saying to you, I love you all, and bye-bye.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Ilẹ̀ everyone. Liberia. Ilẹ̀ everyone. Liberia, Liberia.